Have you ever stopped and thought, what different endings could have happened in Toradora? Well, today's your lucky day because here are all of the Toradora visual novel endings explained. Toradora Portable Minori True End. From Minori's point of view, she ends her story by telling her juniors how she and Ryuuji talked about how to deal with their future. With Ryuuji's support, Minori was able to proudly pitch for the national baseball team. Not only that, but as time went on, Taiga eventually became a very well-known nutritionist for Minori's softball group. And before I forget the most interesting detail, it's also revealed that not only is Ryuuji working closely, but she and Ryuuji are also happily married. More importantly, Minori expresses her initial dislike of being a woman, but in the end, with Ryuuji supporting her, she finally accepts herself for who she is. Toradora Portable Minori True End. Next up, after disappearing for quite some time, Ami returns to her school, where the first person to greet her is Haruta. It is then revealed that Ami has actually become a lead star in an upcoming movie. All the students who knew who she was began loving her for being a student actress. It's later revealed to us that Ami moved away during the filming of her upcoming movie, but after the shoot had finished, Ami returned to her old school. From that point on, Ami talked about how she had changed over time because of a special someone, which happened to also be the very same reason why she came back. Inside the classroom, Ami announces to everyone that she came back in order to win Ryuuji's heart, shocking everyone. In the end, it ends with Ami kissing Ryuuji on his cheeks. Toradora Portable Yasuko End. In this end, after getting knocked unconscious, Ryuuji wakes up in the hospital with Yasuko watching over him. Glad that he finally gained consciousness. But that's not all he gained. Thanks to the incident that knocked Ryuuji unconscious, all the memories he lost finally came back to him. Yasuko was extremely happy to confirm that Ryuuji really did regain all of his memories. In the end, Yasuko was able to convince Ryuuji to hold a Yachan put up with Ryuuji-chan's amnesia party to honor her for all the trouble he had caused. What's even more hilarious is that after regaining his memories, Ryuuji regretted everything he did when he had amnesia, especially the fact that he had held weird feelings towards Yasuko, his mother. Toradora Portable Worst Ending. In this ending, a fight occurs between Taiga and Ami. As the fight progresses, Ryuuji intervenes by siding with Ami, telling Taiga to stop insulting Ami and that he would never forgive her. To no one's surprise, Taiga takes this to heart and leaves Ryuuji alone for good, and after that fight is concluded, Ami laughs at Taiga's face, defeated. She later reveals that she only used Ryuuji to mess with Taiga and that Ryuuji played his role perfectly. In complete disbelief, Ryuuji refuses to believe the words coming from Ami and instead that she is a good girl. In the end, not only did Ryuuji fail to regain his memories, but he also became Ami's slave. Toradora Portable Kitamura Ending. In the Kitamura ending, Ryuuji eventually becomes closer to Kitamura instead of pursuing a romantic relationship with Taiga or any other female characters in the story. That's not the most surprising part, because later on, Kitamura would surprisingly ask Ryuuji out on a date. Although it was all a prank, it was still a shocking scene for everyone. Fortunately, their relationship grew stronger after that weird confession. In the end, a few years later, Ryuuji would eventually become the owner of a diner called Dragon Diner. Sadly for him, though, business was slow going. But even if that's the case, Kitamura in his spare time helps Ryuuji by handing out flyers to customers, even though it's not quite successful. Toradora Portable Sumire Good Story. For the Sumire Good Story, it starts off with Sumire announcing to everyone that Ryuuji will officially join the student council as the new president's aide. Finishing that, Sumire tells both Ryuuji and Kitamura that after they graduate high school, they must absolutely go to America, where she will be waiting for both of them. In the end, Ryuuji followed Sumire's guidance and went to America, where he became part of a team that was developing space food for NASA. This huge step for Ryuuji allowed so many good things to happen, and not long after that, Ryuuji finally made a name for himself as everyone loved his cooking. Toradora Portable Sumire Bad Ending. In this alternative ending, Ryuuji still becomes the president's aide just like in the good story, but this time, everything was dumped on him. Instead of being an aide, Ryuuji became the student council's dog and workhorse, just like what Sumire said. From that point on, Ryuuji had to handle almost everything for the student council. But oddly enough, Ryuuji didn't dislike the feeling of being bossed around, which is weird. In the end, Ryuuji loved his work even though everything was left for him to handle. It continued to give him a sense of satisfaction to help others in any way he could, and Ryuuji continued to be the president's aide long after Kitamura's term was finished. Toradora Portable Haruta and Noto Ending. In this ending, Haruta, Noto, and Ryuuji end up working working together in a restaurant. It was a 3-man operation with Haruta and Noto as the waiters while Ryuuji was the only chef. Their friendship became even stronger after they got stuck in the mountains together because of this every man's fantasy. As the three of them ran their business together, things were going great as their days became hectic. Toradora portable Minori and Taiga story. Moving on, Minori, Taiga, and Ryuuji investigate a well-known ghost sighting near the observatory. Afraid to go alone, Ryuuji invites Taiga and Minori to accompany him in uncovering this mystery. When they arrive at this location, Taiga is the first to discover the truth of the ghost, with it being a haunted house prop that was placed there to scare couples away from the observatory. Later on, we see that Taiga actually becomes a ghost hunter who has her own show on television, all because Minori praises Taiga for solving the observatory ghost mystery. Toradora portable Yuri story. Yuri's story ends with her and Inoko-chan, the parrot, parting ways after going to the bar with Ryuuji and Yasuko. Before that, she begs Ryuuji to allow her to take the parrot off Ryuji's hands and become its new owner. Her reason being that she is always sad after a long day at work and coming to an empty house with no one to greet her. She believes that if she becomes Inoko's owner, her life might lighten up somehow. Seeing how the parrot also took a liking towards Yuri. In the end, her dream of becoming Inoko's owner never became true, but Ryuuji offered her to visit Inko anytime she wanted. Toradora portable Taiga True End. In this ending, Taiga and Ryuuji finally become a couple, but even then Ryuuji claims that Taiga's treatment towards him was too cruel in regards to him being her personal punching bag. Fast forward, we see Taiga's perspective as they return to Japan after a long trip abroad. It's revealed that Ryuuji actually becomes an interior designer in Milan, but that is not all, because right after that, we get to see Ryuuji, Taiga, and Yasuko immersed in a conversation where it's revealed that Taiga and Ryuuji are already happily married. And that was not the most surprising part. What's more shocking is that Taiga and Ryuuji were expecting triplets. Toradora portable Ryuuji story. After the fire incident, Taiga disappeared for quite some time, but eventually she returned only to let Yasuko and Ryuuji know that she was moving away for good. The reason was that her mom was getting remarried and she invited Taiga to live with them. And after taking things into consideration, Taiga accepts her mother's offer. Not only that, but since Taiga's new home would be far away, she also decided to quit school. With all of this information being dumped on Ryuuji, he wasn't sure about what to say next. In the end, all Ryuuji could do was support Taiga and watch as she slowly vanished from his life. Toradora portable Ryuuji ending 2. This alternate ending happens when Ryuuji talks to Ami-chan instead of ignoring her like in the previous Ryuuji story. And this sequence ends with Ryuuji daydreaming about him being on a sandy shore like in the movies, thinking about his decisions and how he imagined himself speaking honestly from the heart once he was on one of those beaches. Not long after that, he snaps back to reality as the school bells ring as mundane life begins, making this the final visual ending for Toradora.